What's up, everybody? It's the Chill Grilly, aka Chili Grilly, the chilliest of the grilliest. Apologize once again for not making a video in the last couple weeks. Y'all probably heard there's been some breaking news recently about the chemical strike or the chemical attack in Syria and the 59 cruise missiles sent over to Syria in response to that, and also the forces massing on the North Korea borders to the south. The 150,000 Chinese soldiers on the border of North Korea in the north. The north border, between North Korea and China, and a armada of U.S. ships in the South China Sea, and Trump telling Chinese, you better do something about them or we will, because that's the American way, baby. Boot up your ass. Sorry, I just had to giggle myself about that one. I really just, I could have made a video, probably 4 or 5, between then and now, that was only like a week ago. But I really just wanted to see how it developed a little bit before I made a video and gave my commentary, because it's not really helpful or really practical to say too much as a story is developing, unless you plan on being one of the people, unless you plan on being part of the response, part of the reaction. So if you're just a sideline commentator like me or you, we really just have to wait and see until something's concrete and solid to actually say something about it. And so here's, even though the situation isn't played out, there are some concrete factors to look at, and here's my take. North Korea is about to get wiped off the map. Do I think it's going to be the kind of scenario where not even a single U.S. life is lost? Absolutely not. I think it could turn into a full-scale land war. I don't see it lasting any more than 12 months. But, I think the North Korean communist regime is going to be wiped off the face of the earth. We might lose a few thousand Americans. But, just like World War II, that's the price we're willing to pay to do the right thing. And, I'd be more than happy to be one of those people myself. So, I feel like, I kind of, doesn't give me the right, but, puts me in a position to say, whether or not we should do this. Because I would. I put my life on the line, so. North Korea, I don't even think they're even technically a step in the New World Order's plan. I think they're just a wrench in the works. And whether it's our plans or their plans, they're just a problem for both sides. It's kind of a unique situation that they find themselves in. But so I think the biggest concern with that is what happens after the North Korean regime is taken out of power. Because China is the one to take the action. They're the one that's going to have the proxy control over North Korea after the fact. So, and China's ripping us off left and right, and that's why Trump's trying to get better trade deals with them, and that's why China's been so reluctant, because they see the end of an era coming where they're not going to be able to walk all over the backs of the Americans anymore. Apologize. So China, the only really real way I would even be privy to the idea of China being on our side is if they had some sort of inclination to move past the ideas and philosophies of communism. Because once it looks good on paper. When people say communism only looks good on paper, communism only looks good on paper as long as you're not thinking critically about it. Because you can disprove on paper why communism doesn't work too. You can't, make symbols or, make calculations for incentivization or ambition or motivation or competition. But we know those things exist. We know enough about human behavior to know that we're competitive and that we're yada yada yada. So you put on paper, all you have to do is look at it and see, okay, well, where's the incentive? Where's the motivation for the worker to actually show up to work? Argument's dead right there. The gun in the back only works for so long until one of those, dumbed down, weakened down proles decides, you know what? I think, I may not have a very good chance, but fighting back against this bullshit sounds a lot better than living out the rest of my life like this. And that's really where revolution and liberty is born, in the concept of I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Anybody who has that concept locked into their brain is a birthplace of liberty, is a source of the spirit of liberty. And so as long as there's even one of those people anywhere within a communist regime, the communist regime's days are numbered. Because an idea isn't something you can kill. You can't put a bullet through an idea. And once that person opens their mouth around another person even once, well, now two people have the idea. So it just spreads. And ideas kill governments. And that's why the conservative right has been so critical of every idea that the left has ever put on the table. Because at the very least, beyond the thought of even making sure it works, we have to make sure that this idea is in our best interest and not an idea that's actually going to sabotage or deliberately impact us. So, the only way China is actually going to end up on our side is if they forfeit communism. And Russia, I think, is on America's side, but Russia also knows that a lot of people within the American government and the American media and the American populace don't trust Russia, mainly because of the media's lies. So unless we can actually cleanse American media of fake news and media persons with malintent, I don't really think Russia's going to feel 100% comfortable calling us their ally until we see them as such. So, both China and Russia, as far as whose side they're really on, I see them both as kind of being on the fence because they're like Trump, they're nationalists. They just want to know that, the Chinese just want to know that China's best interests are going to be looked after, and Russia just wants to know that Russia's best interests are going to be looked after. Same with us. We just want to make sure our best interest is going to be looked after, which is why globalism does not work. Because globalism doesn't take anybody's personal well-being or individual well-being into consideration. They don't even think about it. It's all about the well-being of the globalist state, of globalism, the well-being of the concept. That's why globalism is just another word is just global communism. Because communism only works as long as communism is taken care of. Doesn't matter about any of the people or the system or the infrastructure or how anything works as long as communism's okay. So, until that becomes common knowledge, we're going to see a lot of failures to cooperate in that regards. So I think, nationalism and conservatism and capitalism and free market and, free society, there's concepts and those are ideas. And, we've done a good job of, the internet makes it super easy to spread that idea. We don't even need to send anybody to any other foreign country. We just need to be able to get online and say, hey, have you heard about this idea? Freedom, free market, free trade, blah, blah, blah. So, oh, hey, that sounds a lot better than what we going on. And all of a sudden that idea is grown in that country. And eventually that idea comes along with somebody who's, trying to get into a position of power or a position of politics. And voila, that idea is now in politics. That idea now is influence. That idea now has power. So that's all it really takes. You don't have to put a gun to anybody's head to spread an idea. And that's the ridiculousness of communism, is they do all this over-the-top shit to accomplish simple goals, and in the end it's just ridiculous all the way around. I'm just going to stop talking about how bad communism is because I don't think it needs to be said. But, long story short, about, who's on whose side and which side is going to win. Moral of the story, of any story you've ever heard in the story of life that we find ourselves playing a role in, is that good always wins. Light pierces darkness, not the other way around. Darkness is the absence of light. Darkness is the absence of energy. Darkness is emptiness. Darkness is a void. And light, truth, goodness, that fills the void. That fills all that evil and bad space that's just being wasted. So, and that's just scientifically proven, light pierces through darkness. Darkness cannot consume light. That doesn't work. The universe doesn't work like that. So the universe doesn't work like communism wins over capitalism. The universe doesn't work like good or evil wins over good. The universe just doesn't work that way. And so I have no fear, I have no concerns. Really, the only thing to be concerned about is that you and yours and the people that you hold dear aren't the casualties, aren't the fodder. And even if they are, and that's, my personal belief in God, is, even if it is, it's not the end of our story. So, I mean, it's good. I mean, it's still very good to know what's going on, who's doing what, who's on whose side, who's yada, yada, yada. But, I mean, does it require any action on the average Joe's part? Not necessarily yet. See, God, in the Bible, it is Christian belief, the Bible even says self-defense. I mean, killing is a sin. But, one, all sins were forgiven on the cross. Two, if you accepted Christ into your life, then you know how to feel guilty, you know how to feel shame, and you know why you should be ashamed, and you know why you should be guilty. And that's what God looks for. God looks for that conscience in us. God looks for that soul in us. That, if I were in a situation where someone was trying to take my life and I had the means to preserve my life by taking theirs, I would. I would feel tremendously bad about it. I would never say it was the right thing to do. I will never say it was a good thing to do. But it was the choice. It was the choice I had. And I chose to live on my feet rather than die on my knees. And whatever consequences I deserve to take on because of that, I will accept gladly. And I will accept the responsibility of the choice I made. Because I can't say 100% whether I would be right or wrong. But I firmly believe that I would be doing what I had to do. Because my instinct tells me to try and stay alive. My instinct, my gut, my being tells me to do what I can to prevent other people from taking my life. And if I'm wrong for doing that, then I'll be wrong. And I'll accept that I'm wrong, and I will bear my shame and my guilt as I should. I won't be proud of being wrong. I won't act prideful. I will fall to my knees and throw myself at the mercy of God, begging to be alleviated of my shame and my guilt and my sinful ways. And that's what it means to be a good person, to know that you will never actually be good, but you care about that kind of stuff. You care about at least trying. You actually do make a conscious effort. You take the initiative. That's what God looks for. Because after the flood, God realized that man could never come back to grace. Man could never, through his own will and his own devices, come back to goodness and become pure again. We will always be sinful because of the original sin. God realized this. God realized we can never fix ourselves, so he had to come down and fix us for us, as a man. And now we have to accept that our sins are forgiven, but we have to accept that salvation. We have to accept, because it sounds all well and good just hearing that, you just have to accept salvation to get in heaven. No, because there's a lot more being said in that phrase. You have to accept Christ, because to accept Christ means to accept Christ for who he is, which means also accepting yourself for what you are. And what you are is a sinner. What you are is impure and unclean and imperfect and an abomination by all rights. And you do not deserve forgiveness. You do not deserve salvation. You do not deserve anything good. But God loves you so immensely, he doesn't care. He loves you, and he wants you to have those things. And if you want to have those things, he will give them to you. But if you don't, and you're willing to accept your evil and be your evil self, God's going to respect that, and he's going to send you to a place where you can do that, where you can be proud of your evil, and you can relish in it. He's going to send you to hell. And that's really where it is. After Christ's crucifixion, the choice became ours on whether or not we want to go to heaven, whether or not we're actually going to go to heaven. I accept that I can never be 100% right in my ways. I can never live life perfectly. Jesus was the only man who could ever do that. So I have to accept that I'm going to sin until my dying breath, but I'm ashamed of it, and I don't want it. I don't want my sinful ways. I don't want the impurity and the filth that I can't get off of by my own will. But through Christ's salvation and through Christ's love and his mercy and his grace, I'm washed. I'm clean. And words will never be able to express how grateful and thankful I am for that. And I will never stop being in the debt of gratitude to Jesus. So that's what we all should really be thinking about. Where do we fit into all this? And what kind of role are we willing to let all of this play in our lives? Because reality is all about perception. The problem's there regardless, but how you perceive it will determine how you would approach it. And I perceive all of the things that are going on in the world as part of the plan. That's really what gives me the most comfort, knowing that all this is just part of the plan. And the plan's going off without a hitch. So I'm content. I'm calm. I'm collected. Because nobody is currently coming banging on my door trying to get at me. So I have no reason to be freaking out right now. But if that moment ever does come, I will react, and I will react with extreme prejudice and discretion. Not discretion. There's a word there. Maybe something. Yeah, looking for what it's. I'm pretty sure it starts with D. Too far beyond that thought now. So please leave a like and a comment. Tell me how you're feeling about all this, what your perception of everything that's going on is, and any questions, comments, concerns you have for me or anyone else in the community, please leave them below. That's what I really want this channel to be about, is a way to, or a place for, YouTube's supposed to be this free speech platform, and it's, that's a whole nother video, but I just want this channel to be a place where you can come and not feel like a conspiracy theorist, and actually ask the questions that are weighing on your mind, that are causing you concern, that you don't feel like you can ask because nobody else believes you or nobody else takes you seriously. I take you seriously. I believe you. I believe that a new world order is present and influencing this world. And I believe that they have no good intentions, and I believe that there is nothing peaceful that can be done about them. I full-heartedly believe that they have zero intention on negotiating or cooperating with the other side at all. So if it can't be by the book, it has to be by the book. But if anyone even wants to say I'm a conspiracy theorist, fine, I'm a conspiracy theorist. But you know what? There's a lot of weight and gravity in these theories, and there's a lot of credibility in these theories. So, am I a conspiracy theorist because I consider the plausibility of theories involving conspiracies within the United States government? If that's what makes me a conspiracy theorist, then yeah, I'm a conspiracy theorist without a doubt. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm aware, and I pay attention because I care. I give a shit. And I know you do too. So if you have any, like I said, any comments, questions, concerns, please feel free and unashamed to leave them below. I will get to you, and I will approach them with the utmost sincerity and seriousness. And last thing I gotta say is I love you. I love you all with all my heart. My family, my brothers, my friends, community. And don't be afraid. Be prepared and be excited. Because if you have Christ in your heart, this is your day, and we're about to go home. It's a good day.
This has been the Chili Grilly, aka Chili Grilly. This is a really bad camera angle, and I'll see you later.